drinks are on my mind. The decision sets in. One love will churn your skin. The love is right. Let them have their time. And I have this notion. Let's keep these wheels in motion. In motion. And it's worse you thought I did not know. Did you think I would let it go? Oh no. And in time, yes, I'll think it's absurd. But until then, you'll leave your words. But lay on. Now it's time to defend your lies. The lies you've been feeding me all this time. And will you reoffend? Oh, darling. You say that you are innocent, but your ways, they seem irrelevant, but still play on. Now it's time to defend your lies. The lies you've been feeding me all this time. And will you reoffend? Oh, darling. Oh, you have reached your lover's end. No more. Will we make pretend like we something to fight for. Oh. We had nothing to fight for. 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 somehow, someday, we'll find what we're looking for. Till then, you'll still be a boy. Don't tell me who I have become. Don't tell me who I have become. I remember what you'd say. We're all looking to be loved. And somehow, someday, we'll find what we're looking for. Until then, we'll all be yours. We'll all be yours. We'll all be boys. Don't tell me who I have become.
Good evening, race fans. I'm Pirate here, Black Flag Racing TV, and it is Tuesday night, and it is round 2 of the very first season of the Black Flag Mini Challenge. And this, I think, is going to, over time, grow into a phenomenally successful racing series. It has been absolutely brilliant so far. And I'll tell you what, there's been some great racing already. We had one test event a couple of weeks ago. We had round 1 last week, and it has been nothing short of brilliant, close, wheel-to-wheel racing all the way through. And I'll tell you what, I imagine it's going to be very much a similar thing this evening. I can tell you that for nothing. So, in terms of the setup, we have made a slight little change to the overall setup. The reason being is that we felt that there was a little bit of a disparity once someone got their ECU penalty. So this is how it's going to work, is we will have a 5-minute qualifying session. Best opportunity to set the best possible lap you can over a couple of laps here. And we're at the Nurburgring Sprint course this evening. Once you set that, that sets your grid for race number 1. The winners 1, 2 and 3 of that race then whack on an ECU penalty, which slows their car down a little bit. It's I think it's 80%, 75% and sorry, 80%, 85%, 90%. for the 3 drivers. We then do fastest first for race 2. It used to be reverse grid, but we've gone fastest first for race 2. Those 3 with those ECU penalties are going to get swallowed up really early on from the grid start by the drivers around them, and then it's reverse grid for the final race, and they carry those penalties through. The top 3 from race number 2 do not get ECU penalties. So sometimes you'll see it's not just about the racing, but it's also about some little tactics. And I think we've seen it already in race number 1, where drivers kind of trying to manipulate their finishing position in the first race to improve their lot later on. The change now, of course, to fastest first for race number 2 makes that less of an attractive proposition, sacrificing your points. But really looking forward to this. We've got 11 runners this evening. We've got a newbie among us, and he will be getting some. He will be getting character assassinated at some point. I know anyone that's pointing out that Mariano's relatively new, he hasn't had it yet. He will get it. Don't you worry about that. So, a couple of minutes from qualifying. Good evening, Paul. Good evening, Jay. Good to see you, boys. Yeah, so we're at Nurburgring Sprint. Really, really cool course. And I, before anyone points it out, I know that that's the video for the whole of the Nurburgring, but it counts. Thank you very much, Paul. I quite like it too. I think it works quite well. I like this little screen. And to be fair, it's not that new, Paul. It's been around for a while. You've just never been here at the start. No, but I think it kind of breaks up this. I always thought my big thing with the broadcast is always the lobby screens are a little bit boring and it needs something in between. I'm working on a couple of little videos to put in between when we have a lag in time. So I don't have to tell you about the car. It's the Mini Cooper or Mini Cooper S. It's got a little tune on it, only a little one. Kind of sports tuned more than race tuned, restricted to a certain weight and stuff. I can go over those later if you really need me to. But it's Stormfly. This is his brainchild. He missed out round 1. Got all the work to do today. Slipstream's out there. TJ as well. GMAC. Good performance from him last time out. Avalon also raced really well last time. Ben from BCGT joining us for the second round here. Mariano, he's currently atop the leaderboard. Shall we have a look at that leaderboard? There it is. Oh, Marciano, sorry, not Mariano. Marciano, 63 points he's on, and qualifying is about to start. We'll jump in a sec. TJ, good performance last time out. He brought himself into second. And Willard, GMAC and Avalon all sitting on 49 points. Joint third position. I know it says third, fourth, fifth. It's because I'm far too lazy to amend it. But Willard's not with us this evening. He's out sunning himself on holiday. So we should see him drop down the order. Slippy on 48 points, just outside that top 3. Good opportunity for him this evening. Ben as well had a good performance. He had a little coming together. Nothing could have done about it. Him and Willard, and actually him and me as well last time out, which cost him a few positions. Rocket Rob, he's on 28 points, and there's me languishing back on 20. We won't go into how bad it went for me. For some reason, I had a little bug in the second race, and my car was looking backwards the entire time, so I had to quit out of it. But without further ado, I think it's time to do and jump into quali, because it is a really short quali here. Hopefully, in the update, I don't have to keep doing this every single time we start a new lobby. We'll see what happens then. Right, so who's out in front? Well, Stormfly. So we'll do the onboard lap with him, so you can see the sprint course slightly different than you normally expect from Nurburgring. It does utilise only the GP track, but it cuts the GP track almost in half. But we'll do the onboard here. So here we go, on board with Stormfly. You head round that final corner using all the road on that left-hand side, and you power down as slow as that power is in this little Mini. Fun to drive, but no oomph behind them. Heading down the hill, sticking to that left-hand side. You've got the usual turn ones, exactly where it always is. You get on those brakes all the way down to second gear. Get that turned in on that apex, using all the road to get back on the power. Head back up, keep it in second, maybe third, he's in it third gear. Just hug that inside line before you power through, again using all the road into the next braking zone for this tricky little corner. But from here you can power all the way through, and you don't have to worry too much about track limits on this right hand side. You can really abuse the track limits on that left hand side with that right hand turn. Heading down, this is where the track changes. You would normally flick round to the left for the GP course, but the sprint course cuts the course off right there, takes it round to the right hand side, and then you're up back onto the main GP course. Flick it in here with a little lift, using all the road again on that exit. Back to the left hand side again, same here. A little touch of brake, little lift, get that turned, and then it is flat out, full power, all the way up the hill, past that dreaded penalty line. And here it is brutal, brutal as, lose about 3 or 4 seconds for a 1 second penalty here. All the way up the hill, you're looking for around that 50-metre board. Slam on those brakes into the chicane, take loads and loads of curb. These cars can handle it before you head up past the pit entry, which is of no use to anybody this evening, and then flick it round, little touch of the brake to get it turned, but round you go, and that is your lap. And it's going to be around the 137s, 138s. There we go, 138 dead for Stormflyer, but not quite as quick as GMAC. So GMAC actually putting in the quickest time so far with a 137.8. Paul, you know, this is absolutely brilliant fun, mate. And it's, you really should come and join us for a race every now and again. I know you've got loads on, and obviously with all your YouTube videos and stuff that you get doing as well. But yeah, absolutely, come and jump in with us in this mini challenge, or even on a Wednesday. I don't know if you've noticed, Paul, we've got a new thing on Wednesday evenings. Essentially what we do is we emulate the Daily Race B, and we just open a lobby. There's no check-ins, nothing. We open a lobby, and we run 3 races an hour every 20 minutes for 4 hours from 6 p.m. till 10 p.m. One to kind of give different people different opportunities to have a little go and not so much worried about time constraints. No championship involved, just short qualifying, 10-minute races back to back for 4 hours, and you can do as few or as many races as you want. And it's a good opportunity to kind of open up Black Flag to the world. So there's your pole sitter, GMAC, currently with a 37.8. He sits on that front row. He's got Slippy for company, running in second. He is also sub 38. Is Stormfly going to be able, on this last qualifying lap, to get another? Actually, he might get 2 in if he's quick enough. If he gets round quick enough, he should get another lap in. Is this going to be quick enough to take that front row from GMAC and Slipstream? GMAC tucked right in behind him. He might even improve. He does improve, Stormfly, though. That's a 37.5. That puts him top of the pile. GMAC doesn't improve on his time. Still sitting on that front row, though. Slippy relegated out to row number 2. And this will be his last qualifying lap. Just Stormfly and GMAC getting another crack at that whip. Mariano currently sitting top of the leaderboard. He is only good enough for second row, 4th on the grid with Hardwire. Hardwire, good performance from him. He's been putting in some really, really hot laps lately in all the stuff he's doing and really improving as a driver. So looking forward to seeing what he's got this evening. He's on row 3. He's got TJ for company. Just 4/10 of a second separate those two. Get back to Ben, another 4/10 with Avalon 3/10 behind in 8th. Aussie joins him on row 4. Sorry, on row 4. Row 5 is the new guy, Indian from South Africa. I was looking to see if I was standing on plastic. I will at some stage, I'm going to warn him now, I will at some stage have a character assassination for you in Afrikaans. My business partner is very South African. You're South African, or you're not. He's South African, and I will get him to teach me as many swear words as I can possibly remember. And then Rocket Robert brings up the rear in 11th position in his John Deere tractor car. So there we have it. Slippy nicks that pole position with that lap, 137.3. So him and Stormfly commence their battles. And it does, although Stormfly does improve, not by enough. So he will start behind Slippy. And there we have it. It does, doesn't it? It's very Cadbury's Flake G-Max car. Spot on. I was trying to think where I'd kind of pictured that. So that's how it looks after qualifying. Slipstream on pole with Stormfly for company. GMAC and Mariano just behind them on row 2. Row 3 is Hardwire and TJ. Row 4, Ben with Avalon. Aussie Rooster and Indian on row 5 and row 6. All on his own is a Rocket Rob in the John Deere Mini. There you go, there you have it. That is your grid for this evening. So just waiting for the race to begin. And I'll tell you what we do need. I need to change this lobby screen a little bit because obviously after qualifying, it's different size, isn't it? It's a different bloody size. So, quite simply, it's 15 minutes of racing here at the Nurburgring Sprint Circuit. At the end of that, we will take the top 3. We will give them ECU restrictions. We will slow those cars down. They will then go back on the front of the grid as fastest first. So it will be whatever order you're finishing in race 1. That's how you'll finish. Start in race number 2. We'll have another little blast around here for 15 minutes. No more ECU restrictions after that, but the guys that already had one will retain theirs. We'll then reverse that grid and have one more blast around this circuit, and we'll see who is today's winner. And of course, we'll update the championship with the results as they come in. Quick reminder about tomorrow, which is our brand new daily race showdown. Laguna Seca this week in the GR4s. Bring any GR4 car. The settings are as they are on a daily race B. Jumping in every 20 minutes. So first qualifying starts at 6 p.m. and then it's 6, 6:20, 6:40, etc., 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 all the way through to 10 p.m. Race about to begin. So without further ado, let's get a cracking with some mini racing. That was about that then. You may at some stage hear my children come down and try and convince me to get another dog. I want you all to back me up and say no, because it's not happening. But I've got a feeling they're going to try and bombard me when I can't argue back. But there we go. Anyway, here we go. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4 lights, that's 5 lights, and we are Let's Play Racing. Slipstream leads the way out, shall I say, and really bogged down with Stormfly, because G-Back and Mariano both come diving through up into that top 3. Into turn 1 we go. Everyone through safely. That's what we're looking for. No one going wide, no one off the track, and actually Rob's made a couple of positions up and moved up into 8th position, albeit briefly. So Slippy leads from GMAC as we go round into turns 4 and 5. It is Stormfly in 3rd place. He got bogged down from the start. Mariano, though, dropping back behind him now into 4th. Aussie Rooster up to 5th position. Gave up his night of cycling for a night of playing racing with the boys. And congratulations for that. Maybe he'll never cycle again. Ben in 6th place from BCGT, repping the Midlands. Indian from South Africa. He is our first South African. And after he gets the piss ripped out of him for a few weeks, it'll probably be the last as well. Currently running in 7th position. But Avalon putting the challenge on. Tucked him right behind there in his martini mini. Loves a bit of martini, does Avalon. And he's got TJ side by side in his little tykes. And they're both really pressuring the back of Indian's car at the minute. And how long can he hold on this challenge? TJ under braking, makes the move on Avalon. They stay side by side. Touchy. Didn't really work there, and TJ loses a couple of positions as Avalon muscles his way through and holds on. Rob picking up a penalty, is back in 11th position. TJ dropping behind Hardwire. They're side by side now as we complete lap 1. And I don't know who's messing with their TCS. What's the hell that about? I'm assuming someone's not actually turning their TCS up and down. But it's update week, so what happens on update week? Things start to break, as usual. There is Slippy, already 1.4 seconds clear. Somebody's been practicing with an offline status and not telling anybody. Or maybe not. Maybe, you know what, the chances are he's getting as many points as he can here, because he knows when that ECU restriction chocks in, it's going to be awful. And it's going to struggle. They're going to struggle. They're going to get swallowed up from the start. So 1.6 seconds he leads from Mr. G. Mac. I'd rather Mac like Gary Mac. And there is Stormfly just behind him, or all over the back of him actually at the moment. And I love this shot here of these minis. If we go further back, you can see just how close these guys are racing, and just a little touch of brake to get through there. You don't want to go out wide. There's a lot of sand there, and if you get that wrong, you could dive out. Yeah, Paul, it'd be absolutely fantastic to see you tomorrow, mate. Just you can jump in. There's no pit stops, so no danger of you whacking some intermediates on at any stage. Yeah, it'd be good to jump in. The whole lot's going to be broadcast, mate. So yeah, get involved, man. Get involved. That's Mariano running in fourth. The gap behind. That's the battle behind. That's Aussie Rooster and Ben battling it out there for fifth and sixth. Ben tucked in nicely behind us. He's getting a good run on him here as they head down to complete lap 2. And that's a great exit from Ben. Chucks it up the inside as they head down towards the braking zone for turn 1. He's going to get the move done long before we hit the braking zone though. And into the braking zone they go. And it looks like Ben has got that move nicely done with the slipstream. Up into 5th he goes. The South African there, he's got Avalon, still can't find a way through. Having a look round the outside, just can't find that gap big enough to slide that mini into. And let's face it, it's not a big car. Although there, Indian goes very wide. Avalon chucks it up the inside. Was there a little touch there? It looked to me like there might have been a little touch as Indian makes the switcheroo. And I'm going to have a little looky-see here, because it looks to me as Avalon makes the move up the inside, because the little bit wide, but it does look like there was a little touch there, and it just unsettled Avalon's car. Does he give that position back? And how far back? See, that's dropped Avalon way back to 10th position, so that's something that stewards might need to take a look at. Need to get the position back. If you're in that position, you do clip another car. It is the gentlemanly thing to do to hand that position back. Maybe we can work out a way to actually implement the penalties throughout the race here, possibly. So Indian holds on to 7th position. He's now got TJ and Hardwire coming in behind him. TJ holding Hardwire off. He did have a little battle with him after we had that coming together. Is he having a problem with his wheel? Because you can see the TCS jumping on and off, and I'm wondering if that's a problem that he's having with his hardware. Which will have, absolutely, if the TCS is coming on and off like that, it will be affecting his car. Here's hoping it is just a aesthetic bug and not an actual bug. There is Hardwire heading down to turn 1. There's 3 cars heading down into this braking zone. Indian, a little bit wider there. TJ follows him through. I thought that TJ might have an opportunity up the middle, but didn't make it happen. Slipstream still in the lead. Stormfly's got himself up into 2nd. But here's the battle currently for 7th position. TJ looking up the inside. Indian goes very wide. TJ through. Indian holds on. Hardwire has to tuck in behind, but TJ makes that move up into 7th position. But a great run out there for Hardwire. And he takes Indian to 2 places lost. You could argue that is karma after what happened on the previous lap. So there we go. Indian gets it all kinds of wrong there, and exit all kinds of wrong there, and that allows Hardwire to just slip that car past and follow TJ through here on lap 4. Loving the livery on that, although we do have a set black flag livery, my friend. We would like the guys to use it as best as possible, of course. There is Avalon. He had that little touch from behind from Indian, and it wasn't one of those welcome touches from behind that makes you smile. It was one of those touches from behind that makes you a little bit mad. If you excuse me, if you are just joining us, this is the Black Flag Mini Challenge, brought to you by all of our wonderful sponsors and sanctioned by the E-Team Hard Esports approved championship. None of them racing with us this evening. Nightfire's had to pull out because he's a little bit afraid. Aren't you, Nightfire? I'm only joking, my friend. I'm only joking. So Slipstream still holding on in the lead. I say holding on. He's 3.1 seconds clear. He's got the fastest lap, and that's a quality lap that with a 37.5. Stormfly behind him. He has got himself past GMAC and starting now to try and close that gap on Slippy. 1.1 seconds is the gap between him now and GMAC, as Stormfly putting in, that was a purple sector for him there in sector 1. GMAC in 3rd position, 1.5 seconds clear of Mariano, who's the current championship leader. He is back in fourth. He started in fourth. He's still in fourth and doing quite a good job there. He's got a decent gap either side. He's not been able to close up on the back of GMAC, but Ben behind, after making the move past Aussie Rooster, has not been able to make any inroads really on the back of Mariano's Mini. So the American holding off the Brits from the Midlands by some margin at the moment. Mr. Labu did join us and then disappeared. I don't know if he's racing with us or not. I know he has raced with us previously, but yeah, maybe joined at the right time. Aussie Rooster, there he is. He's 2.9, 3 seconds back from Ben, but comfortably in sixth, comfortably bang there in midfield at the moment. TJ is 5.2 seconds behind him, and he's lapping in those high 38s. Although that wasn't a great lap from him with that 39.8, so he is capable of a 38.8, but not this time. Now, fuel is possibly going to be a factor. We're already past the halfway point, but only just. I think we're going to need a splash of fuel to make it to the end of this race, especially looking at the... I suppose I could bring it out for you, couldn't I? There you go, you can see there. No tyre wear, so we don't have to worry about that, but we do have to worry about the fuel wear. And it looks at the moment, if we look down the order, pretty much there's not much difference from one car to the next. But it's whether they can make that stretch to the end of this race. Is it worth burning through it and absolutely melting it and giving yourself a little splash towards the end? Or do you really have to start thinking about fuel management now at this stage? Stormfly has got the gap down under 3 seconds, 2.9. GMAC, though, closing on the back of him. And now in that slipstream range, which he's got that Mini ahead of him, just punching a hole in the air. And now Paul has mentioned that GMAC's car, it makes me think of a Cadbury Flake. All I can think about is chocolate. And I genuinely even not even that bothered by chocolate either way. I don't miss it or not miss it. It's not one of those things, really. Mariano, if we're talking to chocolate, that's a dairy milk, isn't it? He's running in fourth place. He got 4.1 seconds now to that top three. But Ben has significantly closed that gap on the back of him now. And it's challenging as we go into lap 7 here at the Nurburgring. 10 minutes in, 5 minutes remain of this race. And we're over 1/3 fuel, which means we've either got pit stops or we've got some serious fuel saving in the second half of this race. And Ben, round the outside, makes that move and holds the inside line into the next corner. That was a really, really smart move by Ben there. And you can see as he comes down, he leaves it really late round the outside, but just carries so much more speed around the outside than Mariano does. Mariano trying to hold off on that inside line, but Ben just finds that extra bit of pace round the outside, gets that Mini up into the top 4. His next target is GMAC, and that's 4.6 seconds up the road, but it's going to be a difficult task at this stage. Looking back to, I'll tell you what I want to look at. I want to take a look at Avalon. He's back in 10th at the moment. He's not having a great time, but if anyone's going to make it to the end on fuel, it's going to be him. His lap time's been quite erratic in terms of consistency, but if he can make the fuel last, and I think of everyone on the racetrack, he's the one most likely to be able to get to do that. So possibly we could see GMAC make up a few positions if the cars in front need to pit. Indian, he's just ahead of him in 9th place. Let's not forget about Rob. Let's have a quick look at Rob. There's Rob there, back in 11th. So the South African, the South, there he is, Indian 789. He is 6.8 seconds ahead of Avalon at the moment. But again, fuel might be a factor that comes into play. Possibly not. Maybe they are just going to drop off the pace a little bit and make sure they make it to the end. Slippy, the gap is 2.5 seconds. It is coming down, and he has got the fuel, I think, now to make it to the end. Maybe I overestimated how much they were going to burn through. He seems to be hanging on quite well, Stormfly. I think Stormfly's playing the long game here. He knows that if he catches Slippy, yes, he'll get more points, but he'll also have a bigger ECU restriction going into the next race. So is it necessarily the best idea to take first? I think tactically you're kind of in a good position here because it gives you a slight advantage over Slippy ahead. And he has just got the fastest lap with that 37.0. So starting to ramp up that pace in the tail end of this race, and we're on lap 10. Yeah, I think it should be. It did look for a while. I mean, they still had a third of the race to go, and they were past the third point of the fuel gauge. But it looks like they've all kind of, I suppose, held back a little bit, and now are going again. Now the fuel's going to make it to the end. I've never been a very good judge of how quickly they burn the fuel. It's one of my many weaknesses. And just to answer your question, yeah, it does start early. It starts at 6 p.m. It's 6 till 10, that lobby tomorrow. Either myself or TJ will be hosting. I'll be there the whole time because I'm broadcasting anyway, but I think TJ is going to host it if we can get to behave. So here we go, end of lap 8. It's Slipstream from Stormfly from G-Mac. Ben up into 4th. He has got past Mariano, but how long can he hold him off? Because he hasn't pulled a huge gap, 1.2 seconds, but he's still in the sights. And one little error, one little wobble, and Mariano can find himself diving straight back in to that 4th position. Aussie Rooster still in 6th, very consistently holding on there, and TJ behind him in 7th, not finding any kind of pace to catch him up. Although I am concerned about his car with that flitting TCS. Hardwire in 8th position, 2.2 seconds back. Indian 11 seconds back. And I tell you, I'm surprised actually. Avalon really struggling at the moment. Now, I thought it might be down to fuel saving. Excuse me. Losing my voice there. What happened? Better. I thought it might be down to fuel saving, but it just, I mean, he's got some pace there. He found a 1:39.5 in this Mini, but it's not an MR car, and that's where he specialises, racing in the MR cars. He's 1.4 behind the Safa at the moment. Will desperately want to get ahead of him, especially after that little coming together they had early on in this race. Which, you know, I don't think there was any malice intended, but the position certainly wasn't returned. So, is the gap getting smaller? Not enough. This will be the final lap of the race. 2.5 seconds separates Slippy and Stormfly. G-Mac in 3rd. Half-second penalty. Now, half-second penalty is a lot more brutal here than you think. I'm not sure it's brutal enough to give Ben that 4-second deficit back. Certainly not all of it. But if G-Mac makes an error between now and that penalty line, we could certainly see Ben making some moves. Hardwire finishes. He's in 8th position. Indian just crossing the line. He'll finish in 9th. Avalon will be 4 seconds behind him, finishing in 10th position. It takes me back to when Avalon got his flip-flop caught doing just that at the end of a race and having to reverse across the line. Does not lose any more positions. Rob will come home in 11th. But there is your race leader. It is a Slippy Slipstream. Wearing the badge of Poland, but very much a Kiwi. Decided that England wasn't the destination for a Kiwi, as most of them do. Most of them decide that here is the place to come and they want to work in Walkabout. Do we still even have Walkabouts? It's still a thing. Evening Bandit, good to see you, my friend. Shame you couldn't join us this evening. So there comes Slippy. Just a couple of corners left. The gap stayed between 2.5 and 3 seconds pretty much throughout this race once he got that gap. And he holds on, rounds that final bend, and heads down the hill for a fundamental lead here. And all he's won himself is an ECU restriction. So Slippy wins. Stormfly comes home in 2nd, despite getting bogged down on the line. G-Mac home in 3rd position in the Flake car. Ben, good overtake on Mariano, gets him up into 4th. Mariano holding on to 5th, but the gap to Aussie had come down 1.9 seconds. He finishes in 6th. And TJ on that lead lap as well, coming home in 7th position in the Little Tykes Mini. There we go. Race number 1 done and dusted. And that wasn't too shabby a start, was it? We did see some close racing there. Not as close as I would have liked to think. And I'm not sure this racetrack lends itself to as close racing as tracks like Brands Hatch and certainly to Scuba or whatever it's called, Scuba Duba last week. But here is your official rundown after race number 1. Slippy, fundamental win there. 37.1 was his fastest lap. Stormfly coming home 2nd. He gets the fastest lap with a 37.0. 137.5 for GMAC. He comes over in third with Ben behind him in fourth place. Mariano in fifth with a 38.3. Aussie in sixth. Seventh is TJ. He had a penalty at the end there, but it didn't cost him a position because Hardwire finished one lap down in eighth place. Indian was ninth. Avalon in 10th. And Rocket Rob finished in 11th position. Just get them screenshot so I can update the results like a good little boy. So, what are we going to do with the grid? Absolutely nothing. We've got 3 drivers going to be putting on their ECU restrictions. Slippy with the most, Stormfly with the next amount, and the least amount of restriction, 90% restriction, was 80, 85 and 90. So 80 for Slipstream, 85 for Stormfly, and a 90% ECU restriction for GMAC. And you watch, they're going to start on the front 3 positions. And I wouldn't be I'd actually, Ben finishing in 4th place. It was Ben finishing in 4th, wasn't it? Yeah, Ben finishing in 4th. That is an absolutely ideal strategic position to be in at this stage, because the 3 cars ahead of you are going to have much less off the line. And it's really going to give you an opportunity to make that run. We're going to see, I think, the 3 or 4 cars behind make immediate moves into turn 1 here. And then it's going to be about holding on, really, for Slipstream, Stormfly and GMAC with those ECU restrictions. It's going to be about just trying to keep people at bay for as long as possible and maintain whatever track position they can over the 15 minutes. The good thing is that fuel is definitely not a factor for them at all. With an ECU restriction, they're going to burn less fuel, and as such, will not have to really worry too much about that aspect of their racing. Of course, we know that tyres are not a necessary thing. Just wait for Hardwire to press the button so they can get the grid set. That's the only thing I think holding us up at this stage. So this is round number 2. We've got a few rounds left of this. I say a few. We've got several rounds left of this brilliant little series. We're currently, of course, at Nurburgring. Next week we're at the Tokyo Expressway, the central inner loop. Always fun at Tokyo, particularly in these short track formats. Red Bull Ring follows up with the Indy track, or the short version track, on the 11th of July. Blue Moon Bay, that's the Infield A Speedway portion. Brands Hatch Indy follows that, and then we finish at Suzuka East for the end of this first season of this brilliant little series. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how this pans out over the course of these few weeks. Still waiting for Hardwire to get ticked in. Very simple. You tick in, you can get the grid set. He's obviously gone off and had a little smoky. But there's no break in between. It is race after race after race. So coming up on Black Flag Racing TV, we were due to have an Ultimate Endurance series on Saturday, which was going to be a kind of 12-hour event. 6 tracks, 2-hour stints for 2-man teams. But some of the uptake hasn't been as expected, in all honesty. Do you know what, Jay? I'm seriously considering mirroring this at the weekend. Or maybe doing something similar in a different car, like a little Mazda or something like that at the weekend. I don't know. I'll have a chat with Aaron this week, and maybe while we've got spare days, maybe look at mirroring this over the weekend. So you weekend drivers can get involved as well, and it gives an opportunity for others to get in, and particularly with the, we've got quite a good influx of drivers coming in at the moment, so we need to kind of offer some more days of the week and a bit more different stuff going on. So here we go. Race number 2 is ready to go. Let's get involved here. Here we go. Same again, got to do all of this. Right, so same grid as they finished that race, but this time the front 3 have got restrictions to their power. That's 4 lights, that's 5 lights. They'll go out. Let's play some racing with the boys. And Slipstream, Stormfly, GMAC try to get away. And actually don't get away too badly, considering the restriction to their power. They may actually get down to turn 1 without too much of a problem. And GMAC does fire his way through, side by side with Slippy. They're battling this out. Is Stormfly going to benefit from this battle? How about those guys behind? Mariano, TJ, he's made his way up. Stormfly already dropping down now. There's Mariano up into the top 3. He's got Stormfly tucked in behind him. Ben's dropped down the order a little bit. Didn't have a great start. Although that was a phenomenal move. We've got to catch that one again. That was a really, really good move to regain that position. We can do it on board from him here. He's back in 6th place. He makes that move, sees the little gap coming in, gets under braking, makes that move up the inside, past TJ, past Stormfly, almost getting past Mariano as well, up into 4th position. So really, really good start from him. GMAC holding on still in the lead from Slipstream just behind him, and Slippy, of course, carrying the biggest penalty from race number 1. And he's going to try and stay with GMAC. GMAC needs to build a bigger gap as he possibly can at this stage, because with the onrushing cars behind, and Ben and Mariano particularly looking very racy here. Ben having a little look at Slipstream, potentially to make that overtake. Doesn't get it done then, but having a little shufty. Mariano in 4th, TJ up into 5th. TJ with a 1 second penalty. He's going to see Aussie, and Stormfly is now down in 7th position. Indian, Hardware, I think they're all going to stream past him when he serves that penalty. Stormfly having a torrid time. He's got Indian tucked right in behind him. Is Indian going to make this move into turn 1? Stormfly does that sensible thing, just taking that inside line. But Indian's going to be able to get on the power that little bit quicker, which doesn't count for anything if you're not going as quick through the corner. So Stormfly holding on, but he can just see those cars ahead now just starting to pull away. Good little battle here, and we can see, let's go on board here. That's the view we want. And you can see from the front of TJ's car, look just how wide you can actually go and get away with in this, on that sort of right-hander. And here's Stormfly up the inside, trying to make the move on TJ. Mariano as well through. Look at that three-way switcheroony. Three-way switcheroony on TJ there. So TJ in 5th position. You can see him, Mariano, up into 4th. With Stormfly following him through, and Stormfly under braking takes both of them out, but a little bit wide. Slipstream coming through as well. Stormfly going off the racetrack, and the extra power there just lets TJ get back up into 5th, just losing that 1 place to Mariano. No, I pressed the wrong button there. Didn't get back to the action, but something went horribly wrong, and TJ now down in 10th position. So while we were watching his heroics, it all went Pete Tong for him. So GMAC holding on. He's not just holding on in first, despite having that ECU restriction. He finds himself 2.3 seconds clear of Cock-a-doodle-doo, Aussie Rooster. There he is, 2.3 seconds back, 2.5 ahead of Ben. And Ben's not got it all his own way, because that is Mariano sticking right with him. This is the battle for 3rd position. This is where the juicy points are. Mariano from the United States against Ben, who's just picked up a dreaded 1 second penalty. And I don't know why I'm questioning why TJ lost all those positions. It was the penalty that did it. Mariano doesn't even wait for the penalty, gets that move done. Ben's going to be worried now about the cars behind. Indian in particular, TJ in particular, is back up to 6th position. But further down the order, there's Rocket Rob. He's back in 11th place. That's where we like to find Rob. Just doing his thing back there, cutting the grass and not faffing around and having like any sort of like racing battles or anything like that. There is Slippy and Stormfly, and they are duking it out as they like to do. But this time they're doing it to stay in the top 10. Making a move on Hardwire. That's a great little move there from Stormfly up the inside of Hardwire, who straight away with the power can drag race up this hill towards the chicane. Stormfly clinging on to that inside line. Avalon staying very, very tight on that inside line until they get into the braking zone. Up ahead, this is the battle all the way through. Avalon, Ben, Indian, 4th place. Look at that, all of them. And that was Mariano in 3rd. Held on, Indian through, Ben through, Hardwire through. despite Ben having that penalty, he didn't actually lose out too badly. The battle behind helped him out. Hardwire stays in 6th place, and this battle is absolutely phenomenal. You can see there are 5 cars vying for that 1/5 position right now, heading down to turn 1. Indian is the best of the rest, currently in 4th. That's how your battle looks. If we go back here to Slipstream, and we zoom out, this is the battle for 4th place. We've got all those cars there vying to be the best of the rest outside the top 3. You can see there you've got Hardwire there, you've got Mariano in 3rd up ahead as well, although his gap is starting to open up a little bit. It's Hardwire, it's Ben, we've got Avalon in there, we've got Stormfly in there, we've got Slipstream in there. Those 2 guys, yeah, they've got some pace for the corners, and Slippy looks to Slippy one up the inside, and he slippies it up the inside very well. Indian losing a couple of positions there up ahead. This is literally changing every single corner. We can see how Indian loses this position. Where is he? Dr. Cheddar, there he is. And we see just Hardwire going up the inside of him there. The little touch, actually, I wouldn't call that a push to pass, but it was pretty darn close. Avalon capitalising, going up into 6th position. So all change outside the top 3. And there he is. It's insane. It's insane. Absolutely insane. I don't know about busy at work, mate. It's bloody busy on the racetrack. So GMAC. That gap's closed right down now. The restrictions starting to tell its tale on him. 39.0, 38.0. That's his fastest lap thus far. He's got Aussie Rooster now right there. Aussie is going to really capitalise on this. I'll tell you what, if anybody on this racetrack right now deserves a podium, it's Aussie. Because when he comes to race, he brings it all. And it's just not gone for him lately. But at the moment, running comfortably in 2nd position. And potentially could be standing atop of the podium at the end of this race. We are just hitting the halfway point. GMAC leads, but with that ECU restriction after finishing 3rd in race 1, it's going to be a big job to try and hold off the Cockadoodle-Dooster or Aussie Rooster just behind him, and already that gap is down to just half a second. 4.2 back to Mariano, who's running in 3rd, and comfortably so in 3rd as well, as TJ disconnected. That is incredibly disappointing. Just having a look here. We've lost TJ. Now, that is unusual for him to have a disconnection problem. So I wonder if it's going to affect anybody else in the Netherlands. I know they had some storms and stuff a couple of days ago, and there was a possibility of disconnections. Does this also affect Rob? It might also affect Stormfly. Stormfly's in the Netherlands as well, although he is Hungarian. But there is your race leader. G2, I hope it doesn't affect Stormfly because he's the host. But he's got to try and now hold off this charge from Aussie and Aussie as they head down to turn number 1. This is what Aussie sees. It's the back of the Flake Mini. And that is a fastest lap for Aussie with a 1:38.5. He's got the run on GMAC. GMAC just tucking inside to take that inside line. You did not. What happened? Did you rage quit? You did not. So that's just as you rage quit. So Aussie Rooster is tucked up behind GMAC, trying to find a way through. GMAC did a good job actually of cutting off the apexes, and he did the right thing there. You don't want to take the inside line too much there on that left-hander, because the right-hander then opens up the right-hander for the person that comes on your outside. But Aussie getting a good run on him again. GMAC doing everything in his power to try and keep him at bay. Okay. Right, so Aussie Rooster is closing down on the back of GMAC, and you know, I'm going to say this, TJ, we've got a fucking stewarding system for this process, and if there's a problem, then we deal with it through stewarding. But throwing your toys out the pram every time it doesn't go your own way, it's not the way to do things, man. I don't know how many times we have to talk about it. But here we go. Anyway, Aussie round the outside trying to make the move. Into the chicane we go. GMAC through the chicane, still in the lead. But how long can he hold off this charge? It must be so frustrating for Aussie. He's finally getting to make this move. They're side by side. Can he get the little switcheroo on him? GMAC just holding those little positions, holding off, trying to stop any little gap for Aussie. Aussie's going to have to do this the hard way. But as they head down towards turn 1, Aussie's now switched. He's got that inside line. Into the braking zone they go. Will he get this job done? G-Mac going for a different line. How close are they going to be coming through here? Very close is the answer. But Aussie gets the job done. And up into the lead of the race goes Aussie Rooster. And G-Mac trying to stick with him. But is this where this ECU restriction is really going to affect him more? 3.5 seconds back to Mariano running in third, the American driver. He's 2.5 ahead of Ben. He's 3.6 behind G-Mac. But at the moment, holding on quite well for a third place finish. 10 minutes in, just 4.5 minutes left. Ben is up into 4th place as he was in race number 1. He's got another 1 second penalty. We'll see how much it costs him here as he goes through. The gap to hardwire, 2.8 seconds as we head up towards this penalty line. Here we go, Mariano into the penalties, 1.8 clear. Ben into the penalty there, serves the penalty, slows him right down, and you can see now the gap closing. It's cost him over 2 seconds because Hardwire is now right there and he's got the run on him. Can he make this move into the chicane? Side by side, they are not quite close enough to get the move done, but Ben now holds on in 4th. 5th place is Hardwire and he's got Avalon tucked right in behind that rear spoiler on the back of that Mini. Avalon going to go up the inside. Chooses not to. Chooses actually to stay wide and stay in behind him. So he's going to make that move down now. And side by side again, he's having a little look in that red and blue Mini, but decides against it. So is he biding his time and hoping for a mistake? No, he was waiting for turn 1. Into the braking zone he goes. He's made the move up the inside. But the momentum is with the car on the outside through there. And Hardwire holds on. Avalon can't make that move stick. Not really. It's good to be on the inside if you've got a much faster car coming out. But I think the problem is that if you get a good run round the outside and can carry that speed round, it gives you that little bit of impetus when you get back on the power. And just the fact you have to brake that little bit more. And if you brake, especially if you're braking later to make the overtake in there up the inside, it does scrub off some of the speed through that corner. So Avalon's going to have to find another opportunity somewhere to try again. Going down the order. There is Stallfly. He's got himself up to 7th. Say up to 7th. He started on the front row. But with that restriction, he's got himself up to 7th. He's 3.9 seconds behind that battle between Hardwire and Avalon for 5th and 6th. He's 8 seconds clear, however, of Indian, who's not putting any challenge on him right now. But a nice 2.5 second gap back to Slippy. So, of the battle between those two, Slippy obviously carrying the bigger weight, having won, and he picks up a penalty, which is going to slow him down even further. And then 16 seconds back to Rocket Rob. We've lost TJ, who has rage quit, for want of a better expression. Aussie Rooster still leads the way. He's opened up a little gap on G-Mac, but despite the fact he was looking very, very quick behind him, and we thought he might pull out a gap, G-Mac's sticking with him. And this must be a little bit worrying for Aussie. He's got to hold on for just this one last lap. I think this will be the last lap of the race. Can he hold him, or will it be the last lap? I think it will be. Can he hold him off? Because G-Mac, tucked in that slipstream, might get an opportunity to make a move. He has just gone purple, Aussie, and he'll want to make sure he stays that way till the end. But this is how it looks from G-Mac's perspective. He's still in there, and one error from the Cockadoodle Rooster just ahead of him, and we'll see G-Mac against all odds with that ECU restriction taking a win here. And he's got a great run as they head up the hill. Aussie Rooster with a 1 second penalty, which is going to serve if he gets across the line before that timer runs out. He'll serve it on the next lap. However, if he crosses the line with that penalty, he's going to serve it on the penalty. And that's just going to award G-Mac the win here as they come round the final corner. Aussie Rooster desperately wants to cross that line and see G-Mac not make it. That's the ideal scenario for Aussie Rooster. He will make it across the line just GMAC also makes it across the line. They've got 1 lap left to race, but Aussie Rooster's got that penalty. He's going to need to open up a gap now. Mariano also makes it through. Does that put him into the potentially chasing Aussie? Ben comes home in 4th. Hardwire home in 5th position. Avalon 6th. Stormfly home in 7th. Indian, he's going to come home in 8th. 9th place will be Slippy in that all-white, paying homage, of course, to my good friend Scott's Proper Blokes Club, which supports mental health in and around, I say in and around, it's in the London area. And I had peri-peri chicken tonight, and I just scratched my eye, and my eye hurts. Rocket Rob will come home in 10th, but here is the battle for the lead, and you wouldn't expect someone with the ECU restriction in race 2 to be able to hold on, but GMAC has done just that, and he's currently tucked right in behind Aussie Rooster, who's about to serve a penalty here on the final lap. So GMAC is going to be able to breeze through. And there he goes. GMAC takes the lead with just the chicane and the final sweeping right-hander to take him to the finish line. Aussie Rooster held on for so long, so deserved a win here. But the pressure from GMAC just forced a track limit penalty onto Aussie Rooster. And he had to take that penalty on the final lap. So GMAC comes through and takes the win here for race number 2. Aussie Rooster, very well deserved podium in 2nd, but he'll be disappointed with that. Mariano with 3rd place, he'll be happy with 3rd there. I'll tell you what though, I think Aussie Rooster's going to be incredibly disappointed to not come home in the lead there. But what a great finish. So there we go, GMAC. It's official. The 2 Brits, GMAC and Aussie Rooster, 1st and 2nd. Mariano from the United States, he comes home in 3rd. Fastest lap goes to Ben, but couldn't get any better than 4th. Finished a lap behind. 1:38.2 for him. The Bulgarian Hardwire in 5th position, with the German Serbian from Spain, Avalon, in 6th position behind him. Stormfly couldn't do any better than 7th with that ECU restriction. He's Hungarian from racing from the Netherlands. Indian of South Africa in 8th place. 9th was Slippy from New Zealand, currently residing in Poland. And Rocket Rob from the Netherlands in 10th. TJ with a rage quit is a DNF in 11th position. There we go. I can't remember if I screenshot that. There we go. I've done it again just in case I did not. So there we go. That's race number 1 done. Race number 2 done. 1 more race to go. This time it's reverse grid. There's no additional ECU restrictions to go on to any of the cars. They race as they were in race number 2, but we reversed the grid from the finishing position that time out. That means starting from the front of the grid will be, of course, Rocket Rob. He will be followed by, I'm trying to remember who finished in the position behind him. I think it was Slippy, wasn't it? I think, yeah, Slippy will finish behind him in 2nd. So was that a little bit of a ploy for Slippy to get himself to the front and maybe give himself a much better 2nd race? Who knows? We'll see. But it's going to be interesting. That was really, really close racing for such a long time. Some great overtakes. Penalties really played the part there. You've really got a feel for Aussie Rooster. He did everything required of him. He stayed in it when people around him were going off the track and there was little issues and we had penalties being served and people going wide and off into the gravel and all that kind of stuff around him. He kept his head and made it work. And there we have it. TJ inexplicably starting on pole here after he rage quit. Shouldn't be. He should be starting from the back of the grid, but it is what it is. So here we go. Final race of the day. And it's TJ. He's not keeping that pole position, I can tell you that for nothing. TJ on pole position. There we go. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and away we go. Let's go racing, boys. TJ, he's doing the right thing. He's pulling over and letting everyone through. That actually is incredibly commendable. And do you know what? You absolutely deserve that. incredibly commendable of you to do that. There we go. So that's solved. So Rocket Rob in the lead, but for how long? Indian coming through in the Adidas. After I'd done a shit car. Rocket Rob holds on. Avalon having a look at Indian. Is there going to be a little bit of fisticuffs between them two again? Not this time. Rocket Rob still holding on. I don't know why I sound so surprised. He's not that terrible. He's probably quicker than me overall. Here he is in the lead of this race. Avalon just behind him. Good chance for Avalon here to get himself a top 3. Starting out from there. Makes the move up the inside. Into the lead he goes. What he needs now is Rocket Rob to hold up all those cars behind him. Stormfly and Slippy up to 3rd and 4th. But remember, their cars don't have the performance of the cars around them. Aussie Rooster in a really good position. Slippy with a penalty. He is going to be absolutely plumb last on the racetrack if he does pull over to serve that penalty. Or was he? No, he wasn't. I don't know what he was doing there. Pulled over to serve the penalty, but he's not going to serve it this lap. He's going to serve it next lap as Aussie Rooster round the outside makes the move on slipstream, side by side through the chicane they go. Aussie Rooster making the move. He's going to have that extra power as they go into the final corner. He's currently just ahead. Can he make it stick? Hell yes, he does. Slippy drops down to 5th place. G-Mac chasing him down. Indian chasing them down. Indian lost a few places there. And so at the moment we have it like this. There is Avalon, already 1.9 seconds clear of Rocket Rob, who after the first lap is holding on, and good job by him to do so. And the longer he holds those cars up behind, the better it is for everyone. And this is the great thing about this format, is Rob can finish last in 2 races, but because of the restrictions and the reverse grid, gets an opportunity to mix it out front with the big boys. Or not with the big boys. The big boys already fallen by the wayside if you're looking at Slippy. There is Stormfly holding on in 3rd. Now, he's very quick through the corners, but loses so much on the exits and on the straights here. And you can see there, in a straight drag race, Rocket Rob just has the edge over Stormfly. And he hasn't quite got the pace with that restriction to make the move. Here comes Aussie Rooster. He's going to capitalise on that, tucking in behind the green John Deere car, trying to find a way past Stormfly to really exploit that extra speed he's got. And he's being held up at the moment, which is just allowing a massive gaggle of cars in behind him. He makes the move on Stormfly. He's up into 3rd. He goes. G-Mac is the next target, trying to find his way through. How long can he be held up? This time Aussie will want to see him held up for that little bit longer. He does not want to have a similar battle that he did last time out and risk losing that position as we go into the end of lap 2. So it is Avalon lead from Aussie Rooster, who's up into 2nd place. Nice and wide through there, gets a good exit. Stormfly running in 3rd position. G-Mac in 4th. Indian into 5th place with a half-second penalty. He's got Mariano just behind him. They're so close. Massive drag train going on there. TJ makes the move up in the inside of Mariano. Can he make this stick into turn 1? Little tap on the back of the South African. That almost slowed his process because he couldn't carry on making that move through because the car was just ahead of him. And that allowed Mariano to hold on. But Indian serving that penalty, and soon we're going to see these guys stream past Indian when he serves that penalty. TJ gets that move done. He's got the better line through here now. He does get that little Tykes ahead. He's tucked in behind Indian. That's his next target. That's his next position. And he's looking pretty racy here. Gets a little love tap from Mariano, which just helps him hit the top of that rev limiter. And he knows Indian ahead of him is going to serve that penalty. He can just stay in behind, use the slipstream for as long as possible, and then disappear. He's having a look up the inside. He doesn't need to make the move here. Stick with that slipstream. Get the little toe going up to the penalty line. Indian will pull across and serve it. No, he's just going to ghost it out. Should really pull off the racing line there, lads. Don't stick on the racing line. G-Mac is 1.2 seconds up the road for him. That's his target. That's what he's aiming at as we speak. Moving down the order, Ben, who's had such a good run, race 1 and 2, just getting, I was going to say outpaced there by Slippy, but holding on because Slippy going onto the grass and getting very, very slippy with that. Now Ben holds on for 8th place, 1.8 behind the South African driver just ahead. Hardwire 1.8 seconds back behind Slipstream. Rocket Rob now has made his way to the back of the grid. 2.8 seconds is the gap there. So Avalon leads the way, and his advantage at the moment with the fastest lap of 1:38.6 is 4.5 Great British seconds. And at the moment, with the battle going on behind, that's only going to play into his hands. Aussie Rooster has got the pace to catch him. We know he's got the pace to catch him. He certainly demonstrated that in the last race, that he's got that kind of pace. But he's got GMAC for company now, who has finally got his way past Stormfly. And to be holding on both those guys and Stormfly, that's a massive penalty. What the hell? How do you get a 3-second penalty and not have gone in the pits? That is the ever hunker burning question. He has burnt through an awful lot of fuel to get to that point. He's going to serve this 3-second penalty. He is going to go way down the order. Who comes streaming through? TJ through. There goes Mariano. Where's Indian? Indian is going to come through. He's up to speed. What about Ben? He's coming through as well. There is nothing at all Stormfly can do to prevent those guys coming through, and drops all the way down to 8th position. So your front three looks like this. 4 seconds clear is Avalon, just starting lap number 5 here. This is not far off the halfway point. Aussie Rooster desperately trying to close down that gap on the back of Avalon and get the win he so thoroughly deserved in race number 2. GMAC is in 3rd position, but look who's come to the party. Absolutely commend him, not for his actions in race 2, that's really not the sort of way you behave, but has shown incredible sportsmanship in race number 2 when he was plonked on that front of the grid, knew he didn't supposed to be there, and waited, let the cars go past, and then started his race from the back. And I'll tell you what, he is starting to put in a proper shift. That is a 1:38.4, and maybe, just maybe, it's not necessarily a bad thing if you drive angry, because right now he is looking pretty darn good for a top 3. And if I was GMAC, I'd be very worried about a TJ on this kind of form, in this car, in this kind of mood. And he is already putting in purple lap after purple lap after purple lap. So top 3 beware, because TJ is coming for some revenge, but he's coming for the right kind of revenge, the beat you on the racetrack kind of revenge. 1.8 seconds back, that's Mariano in the Michelin. I was going to say BMW. He's a BMW, isn't it? It's not a Mini anymore. They're all bloody German or French. Every single car on the planet is either German or French or American. It's so depressing. No, not really. We've obviously got some Japanese cars as well. There is Ben in 6th place, the midfield wizard that is Ben from the Midlands. 1.9 seconds ahead of Stormfly. That's where he slotted in after that mass 3-second penalty. Don't know where that came about, but I'm sure he won't be too happy with that. He's got Indian in behind him, the South African driver. But he has Hardwire for company. It is Bulgaria versus South Africa. And that's not a battle you ever thought you'd see in your lifetime. Have they ever been at war together? Well, of course they haven't. I can't imagine that the Bulgarians have been storming their way through the South African bush any time in the last 500 to 1,000 years. Although, there's a battle right there. Hardwire clips him. Does get through. That is a push, though. That is definitely a push. The first one you can probably excuse. Second one, no excuse for that. He does pick up an on-track penalty for that, though. And hopefully this should allow Mariano just to gain that position back. As Hardwire dropping down the order now, actually. So, where wasn't Mariano at all, was it? Was it Slippy? It was Slippy. There is Slippy in 9th position. 3.8 seconds is the gap between those two. 4.1 between him and Indian. I think it was actually Indian had the battle with him. There we go, yeah, Indian. Who's down in 10th. So he's got a couple of positions to make up to catch that back up. I just want to remind everyone, if there is any student inquiries you want to get seen, you have to put them on SLP. If it happens, they will get seen, they will get looked at, they will get dealt with. Rocket Rob brings on the rear. I've just fucking done that with my eyes again. Rub my eye again with the same freaking hand. It's what happens when you eat hot wings and you don't properly thoroughly wash your hands afterwards. You absolute chuff monkey. So there's your race leader. As we head into the final 5 minutes of this race, this is lap number 7. There will be, after this, 3 more laps. The gap down to 2.4 of your juicy seconds. Will we see another Brit take the win here? G-Mac robbing it from Aussie Rooster in race number 2. Is this where Aussie says, screw you, man, this is my race? At the moment, 2.8 second advantage over TJ, who's got his way ahead of Mariano. Ben ahead of G-Mac. So G-Mac actually dropping down to 6th position. So the ECU restriction really playing into his hand, or everyone else's hands, should I say, at this stage of the race. So 2.2 seconds is the gap. Avalon's got to manage that gap. Aussie Rooster's got to push if he wants to take the top step, and he deserves it, particularly after that last race. Lap 8 starts now. That's his best lap so far for Aussie Rooster. Ben again, though, don't count him out. He's there back in 5th with the fastest lap. He's got G-Mac for company, but while he's chucking in fastest laps, it's going to be very difficult for an ECU restricted G-Mac to find a way through. There is TJ. Did the right thing at the beginning of the race. Let the cars go through because he was due to start at the back of the grid and fought his way up into 3rd. 3.5 seconds behind Aussie. Mariano is trying to hunt him down. This is going to be, I think, an interesting battle. I think what we're going to see in the next couple of laps, we're going to see a really interesting battle for first place, because that gap is already down to 1.5 seconds. I think we're also going to see, before too long, an interesting battle for 3rd between Mariano and TJ. And the other question, of course, is can these guys close the gap on the front too and potentially make it a 4-way switcheroo fighting party for the win here? Wouldn't that be something to see? I'll tell you what, this week, the broadcasting so far this week has been absolutely phenomenal. I'm not trying to promote it, but I mean in terms of the racing quality. The GT Invitational yesterday, right to the wire, absolutely fantastic. And again, the mini challenge here, absolutely to the wire, fantastic racing. Avalon leads. The gap is 1.5 seconds as we head into the penultimate lap. Avalon crosses the line. That's his best lap to date. Aussie Rooster, though, has cut that gap from 4 seconds down to 1.5 seconds. And there is 2 laps remaining. Just 2 laps remaining. They're going to cross the line with very little time left on the old clockaroo. TJ holding on well, 7 tenths. He just opened up a gap from Mariano. He's not letting the US driver close too close up to the back of him. Ben is looking racy. He's pulling away now from G-Mac. He's got a 1.2 second gap behind. G-Mac 3.3 clear of Stormfly, who's back in 7th. That's where he found himself after a 3-second penalty. 1.7 seconds back to Hardwire, the Bulgarian driver, using all of the road you can get away with there. 6.3 to Slippy Slipstream. And because I love it so much, there we go. A little bit of a homage to the Proper Blokes Club on the side of that Mini. Do check them out, Facebook, Instagram, and all good internet browsers. Really worthy cause, and get involved if you are a man and you want to walk and you want someone to have a little chat with. There is Indian, the South African. He's not Indian, he's South African. He's 13 seconds now behind Slippy, 6.5 ahead of a Rocket Rob in the John Deere Tractor Mini. Final lap. Avalon crosses the line. Mariano comes home in 4th. Ben in 5th. So top 3 race on. TJ, I think he's going to take 3rd place here, and that's a thoroughly well deserved 3rd place for him. Ben in 5th. GMAC was 6th. Dawnfly 7th. Hardwire 8th. Slipstream in 9th. Indian is going to come home in 10th, and 11th for Rocket Rob. But Avalon holding on. 1.1 seconds a gap. Aussie's been slowly catchy monkey here and taking little chunks out. But Avalon has been managing his pace incredibly well. He's not let that gap get anything like into the 1 second distance. So he's not been pulling away, but he's been making sure that once Aussie gets within that sort of 1.1, 1.2 seconds, that's where it stays. Aussie giving it one big, in the words of Deadpool, maximum effort as they head up the hill for the last time here today into the chicane. Get this right, Avalon, and you take the big prize. Round the chicane he goes. 1 corner remains, and we will have 3 races, 3 different winners. In fact, very different top 3s, other than Aussie twice on the second step. Just couldn't get close enough. And across the line goes Avalon to take the win here. Aussie with a penalty finishing in 2nd. TJ, what a phenomenal drive from him after a tantrum in race number 2 to come home in 3rd from the back of the grid in race number 3. Shows a bit of a... what's the word I'm looking for? A bit more of a presence of mind than I would ordinarily expect, and I'm very proud of him actually for that. So congratulations. There we have it. So, final classified rundown for any that missed it. Aussie Rooster with the fastest lap, 1:37.8, and despite that penalty, he still comes home in 2nd. So penalties seems to have been the affectation of Aussie not winning. But Avalon takes the big prize. TJ comes home and takes 3rd position. Mariano in 4th. Ben in 5th. GMAC in 6th place. Stormfly no better than 7th. Hardwire from Bulgaria rounds out that top 8. 9th is Slippy. Indian 789 home in 10th. And Rocket Rob comes home in 11th place. So there we go.
Joni loves Chachi.
Joni does indeed love Chachi. And we are done. I love this mini challenge. I fucking love it so much. It's such a good race series. And I look forward to this every single week. And I think we can expand on this. Because the racing is so close. Very, very good set of races. But there's not much left to say other than thank you very much for joining me. This has been the Black Flag Mini Challenge, round number 2 from the Nurburgring. We return next week for Tokyo Expressway. Same bat time, same bat channel. But nothing left really more for me to say than thank you very much for joining me. Come and join us tomorrow for the Daily Race Showdown from 6 PM here on Black Flag Racing TV. But I've been Umpire. This has been Black Flag Racing TV, and it's been emotional.